festive season is just round the corner, and being a Bengali, I cannot tell you what kind of an emotion Durga Puja is for us. But hi, how have you been?
Hey, Kamalika, I'm doing awesome. How are you doing? And completely agree with that because we've just finished Ganesh Chaturthi, and for me
Yeah.
as a Bombaker, I completely know that emotion. Like Ganesh Chaturthi and Navratri are those two festivals for us in Bombay. We've been on the phone all week, seeing photos, pics, videos from celebrations at our friends' homes, family homes, and it's been amazing. And how's it
Yeah.
going? Have you started shopping already?
Oh yeah. So thanks to the pandemic, my mom kind of discovered online shopping and all of that. So we've been like, trying to figure out ye kharidna hai, wo kharidna hai, ye better hoga, better hoga. So yeah, and then that's what I was just thinking ki we're using Amazon, but Amazon is also doing other things which is not that great. Like, the entire US mein jo ho raha hai, FTC wala saga. So yeah.
Yeah, I heard that, right? I read somewhere that the FTC is suing Amazon across 17 states for some non-competitive behavior. So what's going
Yeah. Yeah, and which is like, so it's literally taken them 20 plus years to figure this whole thing out, right? That Amazon has been promoting their internal brands, or brands, or you need to pay them to come up on the search even if you have better pricing and all of that. And it's kind of funny because in India we had this lawsuit coming in, right at the onset of COVID itself. Back in 2021, early 2021, India had already come up, like, filed this lawsuit against both Amazon and Flipkart. So yeah.
on? Yeah, I agree. I agree because they did a lot of. They do have preferential listings for their own resellers, or you'll have to, if you're not an Amazon affiliated or Flipkart affiliated
Hmm.
reseller, you have to typically pay a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And it's very similar to what Google does with search results. It's probably an AI driven is what is their take on it. But yeah, definitely something that's interesting. What's interesting to me is that India and even Europe, right, have always been sort of consumer focused when they think about things like this, versus the
Hmm.
US is now taken over 2 decades of Amazon being Amazon. And my favorite example for Europe is the GDPR, which is the privacy law, which is, I would say, sort of a benchmark for the globe, right? And now
Absolutely.
Apple changing, as a big Apple fanboy, with Apple changing its charger from Lightning to USB-C, which is
Oh
instigating,
yeah.
because Europe
Correct.
actually stated that, right? That hey, all chargers have to be interoperable. It
Yes,
reduces
I know.
climate change, it makes things easier, and it reduces the clutter you have in your
Huh.
home. It reduces the need to buy more stuff, and I think that's a great policy, right, for both these
True.
nation states.
True. And I mean, just drawing a parallel over here, because you spoke about Apple, and Apple is known to be this luxury brand, and now we have CRED, which is also kind of trying to become like a luxury app in India. I mean, I don't know what's behind. What do you think about the entire CRED Garage launch?
So I wouldn't say it's a luxury app because India really the luxury segment is probably like less than 1% of our population, but just by
Yeah.
going by the sheer numbers, right? But I think CRED is more of a sort of tier one SECA kind of app, where I would say that the top 10 or 20% of people are their target users, and which is probably like, the reason they keep saying 1% is these numbers better, but number of credit card users, number of car owners,
Huh.
and that
Yeah.
sort of is why I think they're sort of targeting luxury. But what's interesting here is that they've brought a very clear business model out now.
Hmm.
What's your take on that?
I mean, so we were talking about numbers over here. So I was just checking out. CRED has, we're a country of 1.5, I mean, sorry, 150 crore people, 150 plus crore people. And CRED has around 1 crore downloads. So,
That's interesting. And there's
yeah,
like what, your credit card holders in India?
Um, so let's see if there are around 3.7 crore credit cards in the country, and everyone holds at least 1.8 cards with them, which brings it to what, like 2.2 crores.
Got
So
it.
they
So
have,
about 4, so they've not even captured like half that market.
yeah, they've not. Yeah.
they've burnt like tons of money over the last so many years that they've been around, right? So I think it's a pretty clear case that they still have a long way to go. And this business model that they've sort of come up with, where they're now pivoting or sort of positioning themselves as a distributor of financial products, because even
Huh.
within the auto space, they're not going into the buy sell of cars, but they're going into more of the insurance, the fastag refills, and PUC or registration, etc. payments. So I
Correct.
think they're sort of bringing in utility around cars, utility payments of cars
That's
ownerships.
That's actually pretty interesting because you like FASTag, right? So in India, one of the biggest issuers of FASTag prepaid cards is actually Paytm. And Paytm has also been trying to do this. Like one of the new age companies that's been trying to do this is probably Paytm. But if you really go back before pre-Paytm era, who the other guys were doing this? These were literally our banks and the LIC agents who are trying to do all of this for us. So yes, I think you're right. They probably have a distribution play in mind over here.
So yeah, that, and the LIC point is super intriguing. I'll tell you why. Because I think the LIC network in India is super extensive, the LIC
Ah,
agent network, and it's almost independent, right? Because the LIC has very little to do with them on a day-to-day basis. There's no fixed salaries. So it's a great way to build a distributed network in a country as large and populous as us. And that sort of probably got taken over, or the closest competition in terms of distribution scale has been the private banks, right? And the banks that
yes.
have tried to upsell and cross sell us our stockbroking accounts, insurance policies, investment policies,
Yeah,
and other
yeah.
sort of financial instruments, obviously credit cards, etc., which the banks issue themselves. And it's interesting that these guys are now trying to build the super app, for which the OG was again Paytm, right? Because Paytm was
Yeah.
OG super app, and they brought in
Yeah.
the shopping, etc. as well.
Yep. Yep. Even though that like the shopping part, they figured that when it comes to China, the ant model, which was that you use e-commerce and then distribute everything else around it, that kind of did not really. Paytm Mall is not there anywhere on the list of top startups in India. But yes, it does make sense to kind of it makes a lot of sense to kind of center yourself on one particular service that you can offer and go around with spreading yourself around that entire area over there. So yeah.
Having lived in multiple countries, one thing I can tell you that is peculiar with Indians is that we love taking advice. We are a trust-based society.
Yeah.
So, like, how you would text me if I want to buy a policy, Pranav, do you think A versus B is better?
Oh,
The
absolutely.
price tag was the same. Or I would text somebody else and, hey, what's the latest credit card that's good to get? And they'd probably give me one or two options that are shortlisted. So I'm saying we do a lot of trust based decision making, and we don't
Hmm.
mind sharing that information, which is unlike what people in the US, etc., do, right? So a purely app driven or tech driven solution is great for discovery, but I don't know if people actually transact there and take their decision and sort of complete that. But it will be interesting to see how this space, I think, evolves over the next few years.
Absolutely. I mean, I can kind of understand at least. How do I put it? The entire lending piece to it, where the whole, like we were talking about this a while back, right? The whole thing about taking a loan is that you need it at the earliest, where you don't want too many people to know you're taking a loan. So and CRED kind of the CRED platform kind of offers that anonymity because it's over the internet, and there's speed because they've already underwritten you basis the financial information they've pulled from you. So that kind of makes sense. But I'm more interested in saying how they're able to bring about a disruption in spaces like insurance and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. And that's a very good counterintuitive insight you've given, right? That when somebody makes a insurance purchase or a credit card application, they probably ask the people around them. But when they apply for a loan, they don't want to disclose, right? I don't want to tell people I'm taking a 2 lakh rupee personal loan because I want to buy the latest iPhone, or I want to go to the holiday with my family or whatever it is, right? But the credit card purchase or the insurance purchase isn't that same thing, and that's a very Indian nature thing, right? So I think credit definitely has a better potential to be your go-to instant loan provider, but not
Hmm.
so much on the insurance and financial product side, which still require a lot of explanation, trust, and fine print reading, which people typically don't do it yourself.
Yeah. Now, as a fintech builder, that kind of bums me out because I've always wanted, like, fintech super app to be there. But that just tells me that, Pranav, we should probably get together sometime and discuss just about, compare these different fintech super apps and maybe fintech super apps across the world to see what's happening, what's not happening over there. What do you say?
Yeah, we should do app teardowns and app comparisons. That'll be
Yeah.
an interesting one if and would love to see what everybody thinks about that, right? Because I think that's an interesting segment, and we probably have some insights which could be useful to our audience and to our viewers.
Absolutely. But until we can plan for that, if you guys have liked this segment for today, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, Pranav and I are going to stay super consistent and come back again next week.
Thank you so much, guys. As always, love having you, love talking to you, Kamlika. Have a great week ahead, and let's catch up soon.
Bye.
Bye.